In verse 3 it says, or do you not know that all of us were baptized into Christ, were baptized into his death? This word baptism. If you were here last week, I talked about what that meant. To be immersed into life with Christ. In other words, it's one thing to know what Jesus did for me. It's another thing to be immersed and baptized in all that he's done for me. The word baptism in verse 4 says, here's what Paul says, we were therefore buried with him through baptism. The literal burial of the past. When you're saying my old is dead and gone, when you say I'm following Jesus, there is a moment of burial. There's a moment of ascribing baptism and saying, Jesus, I have died with you. And in which case, because I've done that, I will be raised into new life just like you. Late last year in December, my friends that I grew up with as a teenager had asked me if I was open to coming to where I grew up. A portion of my childhood was spent in Cebu. This was when I was very young, 14, 15, probably up about 18, 19 years old. And this was a reunion of friends that I had grown up with in Cebu because my family moved there for a number of years. And I was concerned about it, that I was worried that if I went, because memories of the past, memories of things that you did when you were younger. And I was really concerned. And I told my wife, I'd like to go. I'd like to see these guys, if at all, share the gospel with them. With all the trepidation and all the concern, I finally went and saw my friends, an interesting gathering of men that are now in their late 50s. And we were looking at Cebu, and I looked at some of the resorts in Mactan, and I thought, when I was there, when I was 14, 15 years old, there was nothing there. There was corals, and we were jumping over all those corals and swimming where those resorts are now. And all of a sudden, all these memories of the past started to come back. But you know what was interesting was it wasn't sticking with me. It wasn't connecting. The devil kept accusing me and reminding me, yet in the midst of all of that, it wasn't really coming back to life. And the reason why is because for years, I've been baptized and buried in Christ. You know, when you're buried, you're dead. When you're dead, you don't respond. There's no response to all the reminders. In fact, when we sat down finally for dinner and the guy said, let's order drinks and all of that, there was not even a hint of a desire to do anything. There's not even a remembrance, because there is a place, folks, and this is some of the reasons why Christianity does not work for us, is because we're still alive and haven't buried ourselves in the places of baptism. It's one thing to know what Jesus did for you. It's another thing to say, Jesus, I am being baptized and buried in order that I may too enjoy new life with you. And then he says further in verse 5, if we have been united with him in death like this, we will certainly, everybody say certainly, if we were united